Day 2 of Summer League is in the books. The moratorium is over. Absurd contracts being handed out while real ones do exist. Two guys return to make the best even better. We'll run through some of the ideas of the NBA. Could a former Jazzman return? Who has been the standout in Vegas? And all sorts of other stuff on the slowest sports day of the year. Boom, 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 boom. It's all next on Tip Off. Boom, 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 boom. This is the single worst sports day that exists all year. Boom, 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 boom. I used to do talk shows and talk about bumper stickers. Boom, 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 boom. But today I can talk about the Giants and how they single-handedly won the All-Star game so that they can have home field at the World Series. Boom, 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 boom. I guess that'd be home field in baseball. How are you? I just want to tell you I do not have any money hidden in foreign accounts. Okay. Sorry. Vanity Fair political election reference. You can always tell when I'm awake, when my eye hasn't been poked. All right. Again, thanks to everybody. The numbers continue to be fabulous, and the listening audience is growing and growing on this. So tell 5 friends. Have it be a part of their day. We appreciate it. If there's anything we can do to make it better, let us know, because that's kind of the whole point here, isn't it? And if there's anything more you guys need. I didn't empty the noggin late last night. I watched the second half afterwards. My youngest daughter is a golf addict, and every Tuesday night we go play golf and go to dinner together. And last night she was on the putting green till 9:30 at night. We started playing at, I think, 5:30. She's 7. She decided last night that she wanted to take my putter and belly putt. She's crazy. Can't imagine where she got it. All right. Let's run through a bunch of stuff. Summer League yesterday, our guys were much better. I kind of opened yesterday with a litany of excuses for these guys. Do realize that's a strange place to play basketball. So you're in the Orlando Magic practice facility. There are almost no bleachers. There's just coaches and GMs sitting around the outside. Very few media allowed in. And absolutely no cheering taking place any way, shape, or form at all. So, to some extent, part of the reason probably why Marshawn Brooks, Brandon Knight, Enes Kanter, Alec Burkes, all weren't very good on their first day. I'm trying to think of other guys I watched that were second-year players who had never done, who had all played NBA games and then went to Summer League and didn't perform very well in their first game. Might not actually have been as stunning with the environment that is there. And then most of them got better. And if you go back to the first day, the guys that were good were Andre Nicholson, Jared Sullinger, Perry Jones III was pretty good. They were all they were all rookies who were making their first ever outing in an NBA uniform in their first impression. Okay, maybe. I mean, whatever. Why, as we talked about yesterday, single data points probably we have to be concerned about, as well as the concept of recency bias, where we just change our opinion to the last thing that ever happened. But I thought Burkes was good. He was aggressive. He went hard to the basket. He's so special, contorting his body and being able to finish in traffic. And when he goes back up against NBA guys, which realize most of these guys aren't, it's going to be interesting to see. Last year, he just couldn't quite finish all the time. I'd like to see a little bit of a pull-up mid-range game. He doesn't need it in the Summer League, but he does need it in the NBA. And then the other question for Burkes is just going to be, when the shot's not falling, how well can he stay engaged and impact the game? And, that was the comment, actually, when I talked to some people last night, was, hey, what do you think of Burkes? And the comment was, well, his shot fell. And it did. And when his shot falls, he's going to be really fabulous. And I don't think anyone really believes it's going to fall with regularity. He's never going to be a great shooter. His college numbers are very similar to Dwayne Wade, and Wade has never become a great shooter. And so Burkes is going to have to be able to stay in games otherwise. Kanter, I thought, looked good. He does look like he's physically a little out of shape. There is something that happens with young bigs. This is generally universal. Jack Sikma, the former Sonic great big, pointed this out to me. One of the biggest developmental things for bigs is the understanding of how to play tired. That when you're moving that big a body, you go from what Jack used to say, they go from 60 to 0. Cars go from 0 to 60 like that. Young big guys go from 60 to 0. In other words, they're going and they get tired and that big body and they're done. And what eventually happens is as they get older, they learn how to play the game tired. And it's a huge, huge learning curve. Uh, Cantor's learning curve is going. I don't change anything I said about Kanter when he had a bad game compared to when he has a good game. Kanter is going to be a long time. Cantor's not going to beat you at all with athleticism. He's going to beat you with physical strength, positioning, angles, some craftiness, but he's not jumping over anyone. Perry Jones III, who got drafted, is, is so athletic. He's going to just make plays today and tomorrow in the summer league just based on the fact that he's so athletic. Cantor's not going to do that. So what Cantor's developmental process is going to take a little longer because he's going to have to learn how am I scoring? What are the ways I'm going to be effective? What are my different options? Yesterday we saw the face-up jump shot. That's going to be very important in his game. He hit I think 3 of 4 or 2 of 3 jump shots. The question though is going to be off that face-up. Is there anything he's ever going to be able to do? And that I would say is a little bit of a concern because I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether or not he has that he has the ever going to have the quickness to do something. A lot of Faves is trying to learn it. A lot of bigs really never get it. The second one is in the post he's got the up and under canter. Whether he's going to get some of the other things, a little running hook to the middle, he's just got to learn and figure out what those plays are. And the same thing he's got to learn is defensively. How's he going to defend without doing those things? But he's not ever going to make plays purely based on unfiltered, unadulterated athleticism, which is what most young players just do. They come out and they just make a ton of plays based on just this ridiculous athleticism, and that's not something out of Cantor. So his learning curve's a little different. Favors has as limited a post game as Cantor does, but he's so insanely athletic, he's able to just do things and get by without, without having to have all those skills. And whether he becomes great or not is going to be a development of whether he gets those skills. And in some ways, maybe Cantor's development is going to be easier because there's no way he's successful without it, whereas Favors could plateau without ever developing some skills and still be pretty good. I thought I really am impressed by Murphy. Not impressed like he's going to be a star, but impressed just with the approach he's taking. Watching him in college, he played one way. What he's doing here is being asked to play a totally different way. I watched Burkes go through this all year last year where Burkes will get the ball a lot of times and then almost retreat with 2 dribbles to go back into what he used to do at college, which is then go beat somebody off a weave. And the Jazz want him to do different things. Burkes really very rarely has made good plays coming off that baseline curl or off that pin down when he comes back out to the ball. Murphy made 2 last night or yesterday morning that really were quite good. And Burkes didn't make many all of last year because he just never quite adjusted to the angles we want to take him and where we wanted him to play and things like that. And those are the areas where Burkes catches that and then goes with his body. That's the way he's going to have to start to learn. He still so many times retreats, wants to set it up and then go. And we'll see how he does that. Murphy catch and shoot. He got 2 good looks off. I've been very impressed that he's not having a difficulty getting a shot off. He got open very differently in college. He just kind of beat his man out, had created nice separation. He hasn't done a lot of that here, not because he can't do it, because the system isn't asking him to. And I thought he adjusted and played the game right. There was a 2-play sequence yesterday I loved where he came off the left side off a pin down, came out. The guy was right on him. He caught it. He held, realized he didn't have room to shoot, waited for the pick to come to him, which is the next part of the play. He rolled to the middle, kicked out to the shooter. It's exactly how the play was supposed to run. Next time he came around the other side, caught, and he had the room. And I love the fact he was able to recognize that, know where if he has that room. Quick reaction, catch, shoot, score. Catch and shoot is not something he ever got at Tennessee Tech because nobody ever gave him enough room to catch and shoot. So it will be curious to see how he does with catch and shoots, and I've so far been pleased. The only disappointment I thought, and I guess according to BTS, it's always lucky he put the T in the middle, or I just call him BS all the time. I'm sure that's probably why he did put in the T. That Damari Carroll says he's done. I thought Damari Carroll was poor. He had a 3 the other day, but all the plays on each side were just He wasn't a defensive player. He went selfishly one-on-one at some time. I don't know if that setting doesn't work for him because he's really an energy player playing off other guys. But it just didn't feel right. You know what's interesting on DeMarre Carroll? I will tell you, I don't quite understand his contract with the Jazz. And the Jazz, I will tell you, have been a bit obtuse with me when I call to ask them questions about it. Um, in other words, if you go look at our salaries in a bunch of places and things like that, he's not. We have not exercised that option yet, and we don't have to exercise that option yet, is what I've been told. And I'm not sure I entirely understand how this is working. But what's relevant to say to that is Ronnie Brewer is a far better player than DeMarre Carroll, and he has been released by the Chicago Bulls. I would assume that he will get more money than what we would pay DeMarre Carroll. But if you're just looking at them uh, as, you know, as players, regardless of money, Brewer's a better player. He was a 4.37 million last year, which was just too much. The next question is going to be, they let C.J. Watson go also. The next decision is Kyle Korver. Korver is at $5 million, I think, this upcoming year. He fits what we're doing perfectly as the next addition. But the Ashik 3-year, $24 million contract, the decision has to be made whether they're going to match that. It's not clear yet what's going to happen yet. So I think, Ronnie is a great energy athlete, knows our system. I think had a good time here, was a little bitter. Remember, took some shots at Kevin O'Connor. Those can all go into the bridge pretty fast, I think. He's still not a good outside shooter in any way, shape, or form, and didn't shoot well overall last year. But he ran our system in a way where he might be an effective pickup if the dollar figure is low. So keep an eye on that. There is some level we bring guys back because we play the game differently. Brook Lopez is going to get the max contract. Thank goodness he didn't play last year and was injured the whole time, or else he'd never get that contract because then people would have seen him play. Are you kidding me? Really? Wow. Ray Allen and Rashard Lewis back together in Miami. Rashard Lewis still has a lot of basketball left, and Ray Allen actually was pretty important to him in his career in Seattle. That's a good way for him to get back going. Ray Allen and Rashard Lewis were the number 1 and 2 players on a division-winning team, 5 years ago when I was in Seattle, and they are now the 4th and 6th, 7th best players on that team. Wow, Miami's not getting beat. Let's just say that. Another player to keep an eye on from a Jazz standpoint, I would actually like a signing of. He's been somewhat suspect in his development, and there's big question marks on him. But if I don't have to pay a lot of money for him, I can just put him on the back of my roster and then see if he comes around. Is Martell Webster. He'll be released by Minnesota, and we'll see whether or not the Jazz would be interested in that. JaVale McGee is being talked about in Portland now, as well as in Denver, still trying to keep him. Some of this is beginning to remind me of the Jim McIlvain signing in Seattle, which is one of the worst all-time signings in the NBA. If you remember that story, Seattle was trying to get Dale Davis or Antonio Davis from Indiana. They matched both contracts or gave them both contracts. And then Seattle, needing to make the next move because they've kind of made it clear they need to move, went and signed Jim McIlvain for vastly overblown dollar figures, and it ended up torpedoing the franchise in some ways. Led to George Karl, Wally Walker riff, and then all sorts of other problems. When Ashik, when Houston suddenly has to make the next move after Ashik and some other things like that, and Portland makes the move after Hibbert not getting McGee, you're just, at some point you got to just pull the ripcord and say there isn't the guy out there that we want to get, or else you make a pretty large mistake in the process. The rumors are that the Dwight Howard deal might end up finishing up today, but it would be I've stayed away from this because it's been had such movement. But as of today, the story would be Andrew Bynum to Houston, Picks to Orlando, and Howard to L.A. And then L.A. is loaded. But I'd have to say this. All what I think of the Lakers. But if this actually happens, I got to give Lakers credit. I mean, they've done everything inside the rules. Nothing that the old CBA or new CBA has any impact on things. They developed Andrew Bynum from a 12th pick into a player good enough to go get the best defensive center in the NBA in a trade. I'm not sure the next move. The next move, I'm not sure with Bynum, which is signing to him and committing to him as the future of my franchise. I'm not entirely sure I want to do if I'm the Lakers. So they are on the verge of possibly adding Dwight Howard, Steve Nash, Kobe Bryant with Pau Gasol, and we can then continue to wonder whether they'll move Gasol. Final thing for you today. I had one other thing. Oh, I think it's interesting to watch what Portland is. Portland won't get Hibbert, so now they're Lillard, Aldridge, and then maybe Batum. How good is that? Aldridge is good, but Phoenix right now is Dragic, Beasley, and Gortat. Maybe Eric Gordon. Maybe they're going to put O.J. Mayo and Michael Beasley on the same team. Woo! And then the word out of Vegas, non-Jazz related, is that Kyrie Irving has been awesome. So Cleveland may have a real piece for the future, which we saw this year. All right, I used to do shows on my favorite bumper stickers that on this day every year when I did a talk show was the favorite bumper sticker you've ever seen. I've always wished there was a bumper sticker museum. I always thought Americana could be shown quite beautifully by bumper stickers. I think our nastiness and our meanness that has developed over the last decade would probably show even more than through the bumper stickers and how bumper stickers have evolved. So anyway, I think bumper stickers I think are a great piece of Americana and where things are. All right, hope everyone's good. By the way, I got Jack McCallum's book on the Dream Team in the early 2-3 chapters is great. See ya.